I really should stop it before it says join the Kickstarter today, shouldn't I? Every time I get to that bit and I leave that, join the Kickstarter today. Jesus. My mate Derek might be watching now. He's my buddy. We go back away now. And I won't embarrass him in front of the audience, but we both go off-roading and he went off with his little Honda and broke his foot. Oh yeah, I did embarrass him. So in case he is watching, hello. Right, so this is one of those short ones again, because I'm not going to give... I assume you can hear me. I checked the audio and it seemed okay. If you can't hear me, shout. Right, but I'm sure you can. So this is a general, everyone kind of. It obviously there's a big weight towards the monitors, but I'll answer questions on anything. All right. But a couple of points. If you are a backer of the monitors, I know I said we would do the April-May, make everything live so you can change your orders. Now let me explain. I'm not going to give you great detail because I'm going to do a separate short stream in the next couple of days just for backers to explain this in a bit more depth. But basically, obviously the project, when I first thought about it, I think I may have already said this, so I'm going to just repeat it again, but I think that the project, because of the success of it, it's meant that the original concept we could expand on. And whilst I had everything in there, I had the controller, and I had the SCART interface, and we had all the component, we had GBS, and we had GBS control, we had all that stuff. It was all connected by wires. And it was, yes, it would have been good, but it wasn't as good as it's going to be now. Okay. Now the problem with this is that, and again, I can't go into great details. You're probably aware that the Arcuda team, this was part of the project in the beginning. They said they would get involved, and as I mentioned not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, I had a really good 3-hour chat with Steve from Arcuda, and we went through everything, and he was very, very positive about the project, which is really nice, because it's always nice when another developer appreciates what you're doing, and they want to get on board, so there's no doubt about that. They are on board. And they do want to do the high-end, let's call it which we've always called it, the unicorn product. So my aim was always to make the I don't want to call it a basic case because it's a basic monitor, because it's not basic at all. But I wanted to be able to please 95% of people with the monitor that we put together. Oh, I forgot to reset that. So I don't worry about that. It's just my camera only runs for half hour in live mode, so I wanted to make a great, without breaking everyone's bank, but there is a target audience that really want a much lower latencies. You're probably aware our latency is about 1/60th of a second, which is not bad, and I've already done a video on explaining and showing proof of the latency in the different inputs, so you can go back and have a look at that. But there was a part of the community that really want to get the best and the lowest latency and a really top notch panel. I'm really nervous to say this because trust me, I think my panel's great, and hundreds of people have seen it. I think it's great. But we don't have that 1 millisecond latency. So you know that's where our CUDA comes in. Anyway, they did ask me how long before I need them to come back to me and to give me information, and I said, well, by the end of May, be fantastic. So it's all good. Hopefully maybe get some information before then, but basically by the end of the month I'll have all the information. Now I already know, I'll give you a clue. If you know how much their existing panel was, they had a 29-inch one and a controller, it's going to be about the same price, because do not compare that's a 29-inch and it's got nothing to do with anything. Panels are panels, they cost what they do. So the panel they're going to have to pick is going to be custom panel. Now I'm not going to guarantee that price, but I think if you know that price, you're going to be it's going to give you a ballpark figure to work with for how much to upgrade the standard monitor. So if you've already got the monitor done, because as you know, my panel, if you have my panel, it's $149. So I don't want to quote their price, because the people probably say, well, why don't you just tell us the price? I don't want to. If you go and look on the internet, you can find out the original price of their panel, and I think it'd be about the same price. I kind of nod and a wink, and I think we're in that ballpark area. But they are having custom, probably a mildly custom panel made. So it's not a cheap panel, okay? Not always mine actually, but is this balancing act? Because I know they're going to make something that's really cool at a price, obviously, and I really like my panels. I think they're absolutely fantastic. So it's that balancing act. But anyway, so if you know anything about it, to be honest, if you're thinking about buying a CUDA, you should know. So when the bottom line of this is, when we get to the end of the month, I'll know their costs, I'll know all kinds of things, and I should then be able to start putting together, because the problem I've got at the moment, because as I said, I've got all the figures for the original project, we've changed it, and I have to finally get those costs sorted out. So hence me being a little bit cagey. It's just purely because I don't want to say prices. You know, this is what the upgrades, because you know the cost of the chassis, you know the cost of the panel. Now if you buy my panel, you'll get a controller. I will give you a clue. If you buy my chassis, because the panel, some of the profit from the panel is kind of helping out with the cost of the controller, if you're not buying my panel, you're not getting my controller, because it makes no sense to give you a controller to throw in the bin. So we'll save the money. So I'll give a heads up there. But we're looking at what we're going to replace that with that makes sense. Okay. And plus, as you're probably aware, our app is been busy. He now has the latest generation of the boards, our boards. I think it's a version 3 or 4. I'm not sure. I think it's 3. He's probably screaming at me at the moment. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. And there will be another version, probably a couple more to be fair, because there is more work to be done, which I'll talk about later. But it's coming on really well. So we've really got what we need. So it's actually what we need the system to do. We've kind of nailed it. But the fact of the success of this thing has meant that we can increase what it's capable of, because we've got the budget there. As you probably know, I've been paying for Appy's experimentation for quite some time. And so he's just been he's obviously been concentrating on the boards and stuff. So he's also working on other things, improvements, which we've got to discuss shortly. But of course, it is important to understand that, you know, I have to get the figures right. It's very, very important. Now, on the chassis, the final design has gone in, okay, and I've had the report back on the what they call the DFM, which basically says what issues are there with the designs that need to be addressed so that it can be tooled up. So I've got that. Hopefully this week and next week I'll get those changes made, because there's not a lot actually, but there are certain fundamental ones and I need to get some questions answered. So hopefully within this week, hopefully by the end of the week, if not next week, get it off. And once they sign off to say that the tooling, it's okay to be tooled, then I'm making one final prototype, 3D printed prototype. Just to make sure that everything's still good, because I have made some changes. And once that's done, then I'll get the tooling done. So the tooling, I'm expecting to sign off the tooling at the end of this month, and then make the tooling in June. So what we'll then do is, once the tooling's done, I'll get you know, late June, you should probably see some samples turn up, and then that's when I'll get some black and some white samples, and so we'll be able to build some actual final chassis. And then they'll take the tools and they'll shove it on a shelf, right? I've got to be honest, they're going to get shoved on a shelf while we sort out the controllers, because there's a little bit of work still to be done, which I can't go into at the moment because I don't want to, you know, preempt stuff that may go wrong. Okay, so there's certain things that got to be done, and then I'll tell you as we go along. But it's quite a complex board at the moment. It looks like a video toaster. If you remember the video toaster, we've got a controller that sits on pins and it kind of mounts us like that. We've got like sandwiching boards onto the slot, and what we're trying to do is stop that and reduce the complexity. That's the next stage we're hoping to go to. So that's all good news. But I'll let you know as we go on. Now, as far as opening up once I'm confident on the costs, then I'll open everything up. You can pay your balances. If a lot of people want to buy another monitor, I would suggest. Now, here's the sales pitch. Seriously, I know some people think this expensive monitor rubbish. It's not. Okay. It's an expensive monitor if you're cheap, if you're a tight ass like me, because I never pay more than £150 for a panel. Okay, but if you're buying something similar where you can't get anything like it, but bottom line is price is going to go up a bit. This is so that, because basically what you're going to do is, whereas there's certain options you're going to get which cannot be included. So there will be bits that we recommend you have, and we'll be selling them to you literally at cost, except for the things we've already mentioned. And then, but later orders after the Kickstarter final bit, price will be going up accordingly. But that price will include everything, right? So it is going to go up in price. So if you do want to get more than one, say you want to get two, you can hang on if you want. It's not a big issue, but you will pay more after the Kickstarter, even if you've bought one. So it's kind of a one-time offer. If you want to buy two at the price we're giving them now, yes, you can add another one to it, which is fine. So it'll be worth you doing it at that time. Doesn't matter. You can order it anytime you like. If you don't want to get it then, that's fine. If you don't want another one, that's fine. Happy that you bought one. But obviously, later on the price, I'm pre-warning you, the price is going up. Okay. Another thing on this is the cost of the shipping. Oh God, the shipping. There's nothing I can do about shipping costs, right? I looked into the logistics of having it done from China. It's more expensive. Because of the volumetric size, it was basically the same price or about the same price as me shipping to the US and shipping to Australia, if I shipped from China. But Europeans and British, I mean, it went through the roof. So, because you're shipping from China, makes no sense to do that. So, same as before, going to come here. They will arrive partially assembled, so it'll be a quicker job. But it's a lot. Yeah, that's important to know. Just whilst the chassis is ready, or it will be, to get the product I want to ship may mean we fall behind. I'll keep you up, or I'm going to keep you up to date on all of this. I could ship what was promised day one. I don't think I'd be late. I'd be bang on time, right? But if you really want to get the product I want to give you, then it may fall behind time. I'm just pre-warning everyone. So, but again, you'll be updated. You know what it's like. You'll be updated as we go along. Right. So that's about it. Oh, just one little thing. I know I mentioned this before, but I finally set up my multi-system, which Neil sent me from RMC, which is really kind. And I've got that set up, and that's going to come to the shows with me. I've been mucking around with it, testing all bits and pieces, and really testing it because it's got a SCART output. And I know it makes absolutely no sense. I had to tell Neil twice this. Makes no sense, but from a testing point of view, that's got a SCART output. So we've been trying lots of SCART interfaces. The funny thing is we just got to get that now because we're trying. I know that Appy's fantastic work with the SCART interface on the monitor. We had a few problems with the Atari, as you're probably aware. This new version, bang, lock solid. So I'm expecting it is a little bit on the old version, which the Atari will not work on. It's a bit twitchy. Well, twitchy doesn't work either. But on my actual LG SCART input, my big TV panel, it works, but it kind of drops it every now and then. So there's something going on there. So we were going to look into that and get that nailed. You would never do that. I know everyone's screaming. Why would you want to do your HDMI up? I know, but it's just testing, trying to make as many things work through SCART to make it rock solid. And Appy will be screaming at me again. Why are we doing that? But no, it's because it's just something I think if we can kind of lock everything down, it's a great thing. Right, so well, nearly 20 minutes already. What else? That's about it really. Things are progressing. I'm pleased with the progress. Great things take a while. I blow my own trumpet, but I'll blow a bit of Appy's as well. This is going to be a great product. It's going to be a great product. Yeah, we'll see what happens as we go forward. But I'm really looking for. Well, I'm not looking forward to building these bloody things. Because I worked out it's going to take 2 containers to get it over. So, oh my god! And then I kind of looked in the container. Oh my god! Actually, that's why it's been partially built. But I'm kind of dreading that. But it might be. If you look, here's the thing. If you're retired, right, like I should be, and you live local, and you'd be interested in getting paid, and maybe coming along and help assemble, get in touch. I'm not saying it's yes, but get in touch because I might see about getting some helps just if I can get, because I work really well on my own, and but this is a big job, so I might be take someone else on. The good news is that my wife's now fully doing the accounts. We've finally transitioned away from my old accountant, got a new accountant. We had lots of problems there, so that's all sorted out. And so things are looking good. I am considering getting a bigger property because the unit I've got is just too small to store. But I'm thinking of temporary storage at the moment. So it's a lot of things trying to balance. Do I get another bigger unit? Because I think these monitors are going to sell well after. Even Steve from Arcuda said you're going to sell a lot more than you think, and so it's kind of a scary thing at the moment, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm pleased with everything. So what I'm going to do now is feel free to stick some questions in there, anything you like. I mean, because I said I can't tell you much more about the monitors. I will say I've my AROS machine sitting over there. I've had it on Facebook and it's on my website. I sold a couple already. Doesn't bother me how many I sell, but I've got about 10 motherboards. If you're interested, have a look on the website. You see it on the case packs. And it's really nice little AROS machine, completely built. Doesn't include the monitor, obviously, but pretty much everything you see there: the computer, the keyboard, the mouse. It's also got some nice 68K setups on it, a 1.3 like I used to use back in the day, a 3.1 for games, and a 3.1 RTG, which is the nuts for high-end 68K. So that's quite a nice machine. If you haven't recognised it, the one on the left is my PiStorm 1200, and here is my Vampire 2000. And of course, now you know, I mean, look, the multi-system. I'm going to bring it along because I'm hoping people who bought multi-system will want to plug it into my monitor. But you know, if they don't, they don't. But it doesn't matter to me because, to be fair, if you've got one of these, take it apart, shove it in the back of the monitor, Bob's your uncle. But it just means it's nice to be able to support everyone. Right, is there any questions? It's even right. Let me just have a look. What we got here? Hello to everyone. Hello. All fine. Sounds good. Call it the core monitor or default monitor. Can you trigger a camera refocus? Yeah, probably. You're a bit blurred. Yeah, no, don't. Look, here's the thing. If I focus on me, you can see how old and wrinkly I am. So no. And anyway, I like you to see the computers behind. They're a bit more interesting, right? So I tend to try to get the focus a bit more, and I'm a bit softer. Yeah, he's got it right there. Look. Oh, go away. And the expansive hardcore monitor. In case I missed it, what will be the best panel type B that you will offer for 19-inch monitor? Right. Well, look, this is a tricky one because, well, I haven't seen the Arcuda one, to be fair, but I've seen reviews on their last one, and it was really good. Oh God, it's really difficult because I'll just buy this panel. It's fantastic. But if you need 1 millisecond latency because you're that fast on the controller that one NTSC frame or 60th of a second is too slow, then you need the Arcuda, but you're going to have to pay another $250 for it. Now that's American dollars, not Australian dollars, because as you probably know, they're an Australian company. Oh, I've given that away, haven't I? Anyway, mine are $149. So you're going to have to pay, half as much again. But that may be important to you. Now, I know a lot of people that's important, and I'm, obviously the whole point of this project is to make a panel for it. I know some people might get annoyed with me because I did say I was going to go and look for lower cost panels. I'm not. I am going to China. I've actually got an appointment to go to the Chinese embassy to go and get a visa sorted out so I can fly to China and do all the final checks, have a look at some other panels just in case. So you never know, I might find something amazing that's even better and the same price kind of thing. But I don't think it will. So but I don't see the point in offering a $50 less panel that won't be as good as this when when you take into consideration the whole price. And this panel is even better. When I had the original controller, because we've got a new controller, same company but a different controller and a more modern chip, but they drive the panel better. It's a lot brighter and it pops more, which I thought it was good before, but now it pops even more. And of course, I've messed around with the color profiles, and that new firmware's got color profiles changes. Didn't really need it on most of it. I've only got the color profile change on the video at the moment to show, to just really show what it's capable of. But you can go in and tweak as much as you like. But I think the rest of them look fine, so I'm not messing around with them. But for video, I noticed it was basically, as you probably know, storing my Toshiba that's just here. That panel's amazing, and I wanted them. I basically compare against that panel, and I've tweaked it so it's like pretty much the same. That's still slightly better because it's a more consumer focused panel, whereas these ones are industrial. But it's not far off of it, so I'm really pleased with it, and so I don't think it's worth having a cheaper panel. So probably, unless a miracle happens, get rid of the cheap panel. So it's really a case of this is the panel to go for, unless you want to pay the extra in that 1 millisecond. And remember that there are other things about it. I know they want to do a proper 4.3 panel, whereas we got a 5.4. That's harder than you think. It's almost impossible to get a 4.3 panel. So feel free to find one for us. But we know what we're doing, and you can't really get them. So there's probably a custom one possibly made. And that our refresh rate on the panels is 13.5 milliseconds, I think. So that's kind of a limiting factor. Whereas you can get like 1 millisecond panels, but they're a lot more expensive. So if that's really important to you, I don't think the quality of the panel would be that much. It will probably be a bit better, but I don't think it's gonna be that much better. It'll be about speed, and you just pay an extra for that. So it's up to you. And obviously I think it's going to be 80-20, which I'm hoping it's kind of that, because I've already said that's to Steve. I think that's what it'll be. Now, if we sell, thousands of monitors, that's not bad. They can do quite well out of that. So that's the key thing. I want people to, if that's really important to you, I want you to buy their panel. But don't think you have to, unless you can tell the difference in gameplay between I know it sounds a lot, 1 millisecond. Compared to a 60th of a frame, a 60th of a second, but no, it's up to you. But I think my panel's perfectly adequate. Now, bearing in mind there may be a delay between me shipping and the Arcuda panels being available. That's the reality. You might want to just buy it and then read the reviews later, and then just buy that one separately. You still need to buy the full set. That might be something you want to do, so you're up and running straight away. But that's completely up to you. Let me. What's best panel? I must have missed something. I have no idea what is being referred to here. What? I backed the monitor project, but what you're talking about is a different project. Oh, okay. Look, Malachi. No. You need to read the information that's on there. If you go right down the bottom of the Kickstarter page, which you obviously purchased from, you'll see there's Arcuda, the unicorn panel. So basically, my panel's the standard panel, but there's this optional one that's a 1 millisecond high-end panel. It's an option for people who want to pay quite a lot more money. I'll be interested in composite, S-video and SCART inputs. VGA standard, but the standard VGA is VGA, 31 kilohertz. If you get the GBS board, we're still trying to argue over a name, what we're going to call it. Then you could put 15 kilohertz in. There's a whole load of other things. But now the chassis. Jeremy, it never included a screen panel. That was extra at the end of the project. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out. That's, you know, if you didn't realise that, you need to read it. Sorry. Yeah, the screens. I'm reading all the comments. So I did put it right at the bloody top. Right at the top. Hang on, where is it? Here we go. Just in case. Right there. Where's it gone? Here you go. It doesn't come with a panel as standard. You have to add that. Alright, and it also says the price. Yeah. So there you are. Just in case people are curious. So I made that very clear. Yeah. Right. The deal was the display panel came as a second purchase. Wait a sec. The Kickstarter clearly states retro style IPS display. Now in the USA it says full one. And no, it does. Malika, look. Sorry. Read the display. It does. It's very clear. If you see stylish monitor platform supporting modern IPS module inputs, there's no way you can get it with the panel at this price. We're building a module. There you go. What do you mean a display? To me, a panel is not a display. Yes, a base. Well, I can't. There's nothing to do about that. It was in. It's all really clear. Alright. I'm watching the USA. Sorry about that, Malachi, but it's perfectly clear. We was very clear everywhere. Alright, Jeremy, question. Will we get a chance to see the black before we need to make a decision? Oh, no. Yeah, that's actually. Oh, that's an interesting one, because you ain't gonna be able to tell. I mean, look, it's black. It's a black monitor. It's gonna have a texture. They're gonna be textured. It's gonna have this. It's a black monitor. I can't. You know, the problem I always have with that. The reality is that, as I said, hopefully the end of June, I'll have samples of the. Well, if the tooling gets. Well, we're now mid-May. By the end of June, by the end of May, I should have the changes made, and then I'll hopefully have the 3D prototype, just a final check. Then they make tooling. Tooling takes 3 to 4 weeks. Then they send samples, and they will send probably 5 samples of white, 5 samples of black. So theoretically, but that might not arrive until early July. But we may already be having in June-ish the page for the payment. All I can say is it'll look great, but it's a black monitor, and it's very hard. Even if I take loads of pictures of it, you're never going to see what it looks like. You can only do that in the flesh. That's why I never make black prototypes, because you can't tell until you physically touch it and see it and feel it. That is a tricky one. It's very hard for me to. Oh God, we are talking quite well, aren't we? It's a tricky one. But as soon as I've got it, I will take it. Again, the timing, it may make it to Kickstart in Nottingham. I can't. Well, it will definitely be a Amiga 38. The problem with that is that's like in October, so you know it's a done deal by then. But I know what you mean. Whether you want to go for the black or not, it's tricky for me because I can't say, oh, if you change your mind later. I can't do that because we've got numbers. We'll be setting numbers in stone. There'll be a few spare, but we can't suddenly have people, oh, I really want the black, and then change their mind. Well, I won't have them. So once we've done the order and it's paid, that's it, it's set in stone. You can change your mind now. It doesn't make, you know, right now it doesn't really make a blind bit of difference. Yeah, not just basic, but the panel was always an error. Yep. Oh, hello, Dan. Right. We've been waiting. Yeah, we've been waiting for placement. Small delay, but look, I don't think it's gonna be long. I'm just pre-warning you. There might be a bit of a delay. You know, my last delay was about 6 weeks, right? So you know, but I'm still hopeful that we'll be shipping in Q4. I don't see a reason why we won't be. It's just we might not start in September, like I said. Grateful for your display. Great, so I spent a lot of money on a plastic case. Malachi, look, I'm sorry. You need to look at this. Look, talk to me offline about this because seriously, it's on there in black and white. I can't help if you didn't read it. A modular display platform, yeah. You know, it's not much I can do. I've made it as clear as I can. It's in there. It even tells you right further down. Hang on, let's put this back on. Modular system, deep dive. What is a retro monitor? Great sound. Here we go. 4.3, 5 form. They must support. It's just clear. I'm sorry. I don't even know why I'm worried about this because I banged on about this. That it's not included. Right, just contact me separately. Right, because I can just knock you off the list. And we'll just, because I'm not having anyone happy. If you're not happy, I'll take you off the list. I'll give you a refund and you'll be done. Right, any development on the HDMI capture testing? Oh, that's a good question. Any development on the HDMI capture testing? Well, yeah. I mean, it's it's actually working. They're having to do some tweaks to it because funny thing is the people who make the controller make the HDMI output board as well, and it doesn't work. I probably said this already, but it didn't work with their controller, which is a bit weird. So they've made a few tweaks, but there is, you know, there's still stuff happening. But I've got it working. It's fine. I've got a new version. It works fine. There was an issue with capture cards, with HDMI capture cards. It's a bit twitchy. So that's not the issue you think it is. It won't work with expensive capture cards because they don't support 1280 by 1024, right? And it's nothing to do with us. It's to do with the control. I've got one of these expensive Blackmagic ones, and it don't work. It cost me £200, and it doesn't support 1280 by 1024. It'll only do widescreen, which is weird. But you can pick one of these up for peanuts. And I'm even thinking of throwing one in. Once we get it all sorted out, I'm probably going to throw one in. I mean, because they come in. I've already got like this little thing. I'm more than likely going to throw it in because then I know that you've got a capture card. If you pay, so the HDMI output is an optional extra. So it's going to be priced because these are not expensive. You can go online and buy them for about £12. And they work great. They work great with HDMI, and they support 1280 1024. As I said, there's a little bit of a tweak. It drops the signal every now and then, which is something that's got to be worked on. But it's there. It just drops it occasionally, so they've got to tweak that. But it's all looking. I'm confident. Okay, I have no doubt it's going to work fine because it's going to be quite a big deal actually. Very big deal, because even for people who just literally want to, I'll give an example. One of the big YouTubers out there, he did a video on his Commodore 64. Actually getting it on a display to work, he found really tricky, and then recording it. He had to do it on a camera. So having this monitor that you can display it brilliantly as standard, and have an HDMI out, I mean, that's a big deal for a lot of people. So and me. So whatever's on the display will be shoved straight out, and you can put it in. I mean, I actually thought people only use it for capturing, you know, for streaming. But Happy was saying he would want it on a big TV, so he can have his monitor on a big TV as well. But fair enough. This is right. Are you going to have a badge for the two sides? Do you know what? I don't know. I remember on the original modelling that Paul Kitchen did. He kind of put it in the top corner, 1080, 1089 and 1087S. I'm not too keen on it. So I'm a bit minimalist. It's got Checkmate embossed, not embossed. Yes, it's embossed into the tooling. So you'll see the Checkmate. But, you know, we'll see. Right. So there's a plug in the back. I'm not asking another Malachi one. I can't. Just get in touch and we'll sort out refunding. Because I haven't got time for this. Appears to be a language difference. It's not a language interpreter. You didn't read that fourth or fifth paragraph that was perfectly clear. Anyway, so if you're not happy, I'll just refund it. I don't care. I mean, technically I don't have to. Just to be clear, I don't have to. But if you don't want it, email me. I'll refund it. Right. Right. So I'm sorry. I'm just going through all of these. There's an awful lot of conversation going about Malachi and his misunderstanding. Malachi, you don't have to back it if you want to back it. Now, normally I don't want people to back out because if everyone backs out, I'm buggered, right? But if you want to back out, feel free. Just through Kickstarter, message me. I'll refund you, and you won't be a backer. That's fine. Okay, we can do that. I'll even lose the percentage from Kickstarter, and I'll swallow the cost because I don't want anyone. You know, I don't need it. Will there be a power limit to cram into the monitor? Okay, on the power limit. Right, so at the moment we've got 12 volts and 5 volts. And the 12 volt is mainly for the main panel. There's 2 amps on that, and our control line needs an amp. So there's an amp spare. And the 5 volt, which is a separate thing for all the bud boards, got 4 amps. So you got plenty. Don't go running a Pi and a Mister. Don't do that because both need 2.5. But if you're going to run like our GBS control board with all the interfaces and a Pi or a Mister, then there's plenty of room in it. Right, I'm going to not bother answering anymore, Malachi, because I've said I'll refund it. I always take him a while. Question: did you find an HDMI capture device that didn't? I've answered that. Power monitors, which is yeah, Alex, you're absolutely right. I'm fed up to the back teeth of people telling me that 4:3 is the most important aspect ratio. No, it ain't. It is if you're American, right? Whatever. If you're European, right, or UK, it's 5.4. It's PAL. It's 5.4. I don't get it. So it's important that we support all these, and we do. We've got a 4.3 mode, 5.4 mode. You know, we've got all these modes. But 5.4 is the basic one, isn't it? And that's why it fits really well. You might need a few wall warts and barrel jacks. No, you won't, because if you buy it will be an option. But if you buy the back plane, we've got built-in USB power plugs, so you can connect internally and adapt them into whatever you need. We put the USB A's because the bloody USB-C snap off the first time you use them, and they're useless. So we put proper, great big chunky ones on there. Yes, power harness is the wrong word, but it does have 2 USB-A connectors internally, which you can plug in leads and power whatever you want. Still going down. It is very common to refer to screens. I'm very interested in the FPGA pod. Do you have any advice? Which version I have to buy for the pod? Christoph, so if you're talking about this, so if you've got one of these, okay, if you've got one of these misters, like the full stack, it doesn't have to be a full stack. You can just have the main one, but then you don't get your USB. But if you kind of built a stack, even if you haven't got the top, you don't need the analog board on top. If you've got the USB hub that plugs onto it from the Mister project, and you've got a D10 Nano, you can plug them both in. There'll be a hanger, there'll be a frame for it with some cables and so on to connect it all up. But if you've got this on top, you'll be able to get the VGA and put the VGA to the back. It is going to be a bit tight, I'll be honest. But I've got in that one there has got mine in it, which is basically the full stack. So that's in there. If that's what you mean, there is another FPGA board coming, which is Minimig. There's going to be a custom board made that'll slot in. But that's really aimed at Amiga fans, that one, the Minimig. It's not really a general one like the Mister, which is very generic and does a hell of a lot more. It is actually a fantastic board. Okay, let's be clear. I'm not going anywhere. I just irritated. I didn't realise. I'm sorry you didn't read it. I'm sorry you didn't understand. But I was constantly banging on about it. Right. Can we order a case to go with the display? Can we order? Yeah. What? Right. Okay, Jeremy. I'm confused on this one because obviously I'm shipping with my panels. If you ship with my panel. It all goes at once, straight out the door. Yeah. If you're talking about the Arcuda, that will more, especially initially, it will come separate. So it's going to be more expensive. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just the way it is because it's coming from Australia. So you'll get my chassis be shipped out, and then you'll get that coming. So wherever you are, if you're in Australia, it costs you peanuts. If you're outside of the world, but again, this is something that we're going to try and sort out. But people have been ordering from Arcuda, so they ship around the world anyway. So reckon one day a miracle will happen as some will produce a 5 OLED panel. Right, let me cover this subject. I really tried to get an OLED. I even contacted Samsung about it. No. Again, I spoke to Steve Arcuda. Yeah, it's just not, because they're not going to make one for us. Do you need 1 million, right? No. A few thousand. Not interested. It's never happening. It's never happening. I can't say never, but I mean, there's just no way it's going to happen. So, would be great. But I'll tell you what, the Arcuda boys, the main benefit of the OLED, apart from the fact that it is, obviously OLEDs are great panels, They do have wonderful blacks, and they do a 1 millisecond or whatever it is latency. But that's where the Arcuda comes in. It's got a 1 millisecond, around 1 millisecond latency. It'll have a really good panel, and whilst it might be an OLED, it'll be pretty, next best thing. And anyway, if they did do an OLED, you're talking about £1,000 at least. Just one D10 Nano. If you're going to talk about one D10 Nano, you're going to want to put the USB hub, which is about 25 quid. You're going to want to add that because you do need that. You don't really mess around with hub switches and all that old rubbish. Just get one of the Mister, plug it on there and shove it in. You don't need the analog board on top if all you want to do is run it through HDMI. Monitor screens have always been referred to as panels. Actually, monitor screens have never been referred to as panels. Monitor screens are, could be a CRT, as they call monitor. Interestingly, the product's going to change to checkmate displays. Black Swallows, the contours very bad with test mouldings. Will the Arcuda panel have the same resolution as the default one? That is a really good question. I don't know. I'm guessing it'll be 1280 1024. But it might be 1600 by 1200. I don't know. He's going to come back to me. That's why I'm saying at the end of the month he's going to come back with all the information, find out what they can. Because remember, you can get 1280 by 1024 panels easy. Getting something like a 1280 by 960, which is 4.3, is very difficult. And of course, it buggers things up if you're in power regions or European regions. If you're in that kind of power region, it's going to bugger you up, right? If you got native 1024, yeah, great, that will look right. But if I'm still thinking black bars, a few little pixels above and below. Hi, Fassy. 68,000 looks very weird on an LCD. Yeah, this is the thing. If you're used to it like that, well, I've got the brightness tone right down on this, but that's coming out of the Mister of here, and it looks great. Everyone likes the CRTs for low resolution games. The CRT's really nice. You can't beat it. I get it. I totally get it. Most of the ones you look at, they're a bit dimming a bit. I mean, they really are. So I'm different to other people on CRTs. I've got loads. Don't use them. Didn't like them back in the day. The only thing I really liked them for was I like watching demos. We all know the reason why. As soon as you use it properly, horrible. Okay. But for games, demos, I get it. I totally get it. They are wonderful. And I understand why people love them. But you can't get them. So it's trying to create something that looks nice and bright. Looks nice and bright, sharp. Which sharp can spoil the illusion. I get that. But trying to create something that's nice and bright. But people, when they come and see it, and they come and see it in the flesh, and they see how bright these panels and how nice they look, and how the colours just look wonderful. Even sitting next to, and I went to the OLL 2023 and I had them all laid out, and there was a whole load of CRTs. And yes, the pixels do look nice because we all know the blending, because of the way CRTs work. They kind of blend the pixels a little bit, which is why they gives a good look. But of course, most of them are dimming now. But that's the thing. So if you're used to seeing an X68000 on a CRT, I get it. I totally get it. What is that white thing on the 2000? That's because you came in late. Multi-system. Because certain people, and I'm going to be taking this to the shows, certain people have been giving Neil some grief because he didn't want to get behind the Kickstarter. It really annoyed me. It's like, he's a CRT guy. I get it. It's fine. I was disappointed, obviously, but he was honest. Some people, oh yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, behind the back of the gate, it's rubbish. No, Neil said, look, it's not for me. I don't want to review it because there'll be. I'm going to say it'll be negative because it's not a CRT kind of thing. I'm putting words in his mouth here, but I get it. So, but do I have a problem with Neil? No. I'm going to bring that to my show. I'm going to have it at the Amiga show. I'm going to be running that, and that's just going to be my Mister on one of the machines. There'll be a Mister built into the monitor. There'll be one sticking outside. I think they're great, and it's a different form factor for the Mister. You know, I think they're great. I think what they've done is fantastic. The white colour threw me. Yeah, do you know what? He did send it to me for free, right? He was very kind because I've obviously sent him a couple of cases to review, and he returned the favour and said, "But I've just literally haven't had time to build it. I've only built it in the last couple of weeks." Because I want to show it, take it to the show, plug it into the monitor. You can use it with it. But he sent me white ones. He sent me 2 white cases, and I've got the other one here because this one's got the scar on top, which I quite like. So he said, but I wanted a black one, but I didn't want to be like, because he said it for free, and I didn't want to be like, I want a black one. But actually, the white does look very nice, I must admit. So I'm really pleased with it. Those chip capture dongles are awesome. I use one when my camera is better than the tethered mode provided by the camera. Yeah, oh god, yeah, I gave up with the tethered mode. I could just paint it. It's true actually, but no, I'm going to stick with it. Oh, what have I done? Oh, this is the trouble. Sometimes when you move this. There we go. So I'm just catching up with the questions. Those. Alright, well, you can paint it, should be no problem. Never thought capture devices would be that tiny. Yeah, they are really, really small. I mean, this is brilliant. And just so you know, about a tenner. Yeah? So as I said, if you buy the HDMI output option, which won't be expensive actually, it's not going to be expensive. I'm going to throw one of these in. We just got to sort that glitch. But I mean HDMI captions I've seen on the small ones. It's starting to get excited. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I don't think the ultra short response time is too important for me, but I'm looking for good picture quality. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I think, as I said, if you go in HDMI, it's 17.4 milliseconds. Initially, I was showing 15.9, but actually, it's with the new controller, it's kind of dropped back to 17. 17 milliseconds. You know, it's like. So it's not 1 millisecond, but it's roughly a 60th of a second, because 60th of a second is 16 milliseconds. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Malachi. Look, I make the offer because I don't want anyone being unhappy. Seriously, and you know, it's a tricky one because we couldn't put the panel in it. Well, firstly, because I hadn't chosen the panel, and there was always going to be this Arcuda option, and the whole point is pick your size, pick your panel, and I didn't want all that money for the panels up front in case the prices changed. That was the real issue. If the prices went up on me, which they could do, then I'd be screwed, absolutely screwed. So we did it this way, because but I tried to be clear anyway. Right, so anyways, you said move on. Get there about 10 minutes. Yeah, I know, because I have to go through stuff and then I catch up. Yeah. It'll be a great product. If I've got anything to do with it, it will be. There's a lot of info on that new mini MIG board. Now, the new mini MIG board, obviously this is of interest to Amiga fans. The new mini MIG board though has a 68,000 socket, which means you can put on a Pi Storm, right? Which will be amazing. This thing's going to be amazing. Now, on top of that, Ranko's already said, because he's already done a mini ITX version for my cases, and he's going to do a slot version so you can plug it into our backplane and just plug it in, screw it in, turn it on. Ports at the back. I think PS2 actually makes more sense, to be honest. PS2 ports on the back, and it'd be powered from the monitor. It's going to be I'm really looking forward to that one. That is going to be an amazing machine. Can I have a link, an order for Checkmate 1500 Plus Mini to the display station? No, you can't. Okay, so let me. Yeah, okay, right. So I have considered this, and some people may want to. It's going to confuse things. Because I'm hoping to almost shut down case orders because I've got so many monitors to ship. So I'm going to be doing a thing shortly. Buy your case now, because at some point I'm shutting it down orders while I get these out. The other thing is, even if you do ship at the same time, it's twice the volume. It's probably 60-70% more. It's not going to make a lot of difference because a monitor and a case is just much more bulk. Now, if you're in the UK, peanuts, right? Don't worry about it. If you're in Europe, yeah, it's not so bad. If you're in America, oh God, it's starting to get expensive. If you're in Australia, Jesus Christ, sell a kidney. Shame you can't get Edu to do another mount board. I don't need to. I just don't need to. Look, firstly, Edu did a fantastic job on the Mystics. But the problem with Edu was he likes making all the boards by hand. It doesn't make any sense. So I didn't order anymore because they were too expensive to make. He didn't make any money out of them. Right? I didn't really make any money. I made money out of the cases, but I didn't really make any money out of them. So it was not viable. And I don't need to because now I just have a frame and I have some cables and it just pop it in. What? You know, you just buy the hub. In fact, I do a kit with the hub for like 60 quid. Something like 60 quid. And it's got the frame, cables and the hub, and you just put it all together with your D10 Nano in there separately, and it'd be the same for this. So yeah, no, it's not worth it. I have one of Stephen's Mystics boards, but I must confess I also just got the. Yeah, I mean that ironclad does look good. Yeah, it does look really good. You know, some people said to me, "Oh, that Mystic's expensive." No, it weren't. Not when you think about it small scale and look at Ironclad and some of the others. I will say actually that the board for the multi-system's actually not a bad price because if you bear in mind all the bits that it's got built in, including the 128 meg RAM, because you normally pay 50 quid for that, it's actually not a bad deal. So yeah, I think that. Now you can't put it inside the monitor, obviously. But it's actually not too bad. I wish they'd invested in tooling, because then if they'd invested, I don't know how many they sold. They must have sold over 1,000 of these things. But tooling up, as well as I well know, is expensive. But if you've got a design that people like, it won't, because then knocking the cases out is peanuts, right? You can do a whole complete pack with the case, peanuts. But it's that initial bit. But they know what they're doing. You know, Heber's been around for a long time. They understand everything. I don't have to teach them anything yet. Not that I'm an expert. I'm just learning still. Right, Stephen's board. Sorry, I'm just having a look through now. Harm's new device, original game controllers. Yeah, it is. They're making some good products. What video input do you recommend for your monitor being used with Amigas? Right, if you want the GPS control, I think everybody needs to buy the GPS board or whatever it's called, right? Because you'll have a good SCART interface, so you can just go RGB to SCART. Hang on, God's sake, is this changed? Oh, there's no half hour. I think it's going to be RGB SCART is great, but I run HDMI out of the back of the Pi Storm, and if you've got a Vampires, you've got a VGA. You may have a VGA adapter, so that's again, sorry, not VGA, HDMI. Sorry, but if you've got RGB, just RGB to SCART, you just need to buy our adapter board in slot 2, slot 1 actually technically, slot 0 is the controller. So I would go RGB SCART. There's lots of cable. You can go RGB component, which will look just as good. I wanted a case with the top SCART. Are you in the UK? What's the availability of G10 Nano? Not good. Yeah, he's answered that. Like a really rare Raspberry Pi. Yeah, they're a nightmare. DigiKey have DE10 in stock. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they go very quick. If you want one, buy it. And they've gone up a bit. They're a lot more than I was. Well, I'll give you an example. I think they're £185 now. Something like that. I was paying £90, £95 back. Not anymore. So I don't stock them now. I don't even, to be honest, I don't. People buy my fitting kits, then buy their own one. There's no point in me selling it and then marking it up. You know, I'd only put a little bit on it, but it's just not worth my while. I think so. I'm sure it'd be good. Yeah, I hope so too. Well, no hope. It better be. I have a lightly used Checkmate 1500 in black I'm looking to sell. I might ever laugh about Mr. Ball. My multi-system will have pride of place under the monitor. I found with the monitor, the stand, you can actually pretty much put it on top of the multi-system. It actually sit on it sits in the corners. It seems to sit all right actually. Yeah, don't know how strong the 3D print is, but it seemed okay. I restore Megas. Right, I'm in the UK. Is there anything dying over there? I'm in the UK. Repo Man. I'm in the UK. Shipping might be prohibitive. Oh, sorry. This is an internal discussion, isn't it? But possibly getting a system with a second monitor. It might be nice to have both bits work together. Okay, Jeremy, you're in the UK. Don't even worry about it. All right, seriously, don't worry about it. Actually, do worry if I'm not making the damn things at that time. Yeah, I mean, it falls back onto its cost isn't the issue. It's the focus on monitors. I'm going to try and get people to buy their cases before I start shipping, because I need 3 months to get them all out the door. So I just don't want to be slowed down by making cases. I mean, if it's the old one, it probably won't matter. But the trouble is in the slow boat, there's no such thing. It doesn't work that way. The shipping companies don't put them on a slow boat. And I don't trust the companies that do put them on a slow boat. That's the problem. The company that I use, I mean, I have a courier agent, but nearly everything goes out DHL, right? And you know, they're necessarily no better than like UPS or any others, or FedEx. But they do deliver on time, and they're very quick, especially to the States. They're very quick, but they're expensive. Now the shipping's gone up 30% because since COVID, they've all used an excuse to shove everything up. Fuel surcharge, this surcharge, that surcharge, and the prices have gone up. And I'm hoping to negotiate down a bit, but shipping is a pain because these monitors are going to be big, they're bulky, it's volume. I bought 2 of that recommended wireless mouse. They are awesome. Yes, they are absolutely fantastic. I might be remembering this wrong, but weren't you looking into getting a larger space for monitor assembly this year? Okay, so yes, I was, and I may still, but there's still a lot to be done. This will be something I'll probably do once they're about to be put on a boat, because I'll have 6 weeks. You know, I may decide then. I've got 6 weeks. I may move. But I've already got a company that's not far. It's just about 10 minutes away from where my office is, and they have a lot. I won't call it cheap. It's storage, they basically got a lot of containers and they put a whole row of them. So basically I just take them out of the container, put them in another container, lock the door, and then grab, I'm probably going to get, if I do this, I'm going to buy a transit. It's another excuse, I put my dirt bike in it. But load them up there, bring them around, build them, ship, go along, grab it. So you see what I mean? Do it that way. And that may be the way I do it, because then I'm a bit nervous of overextending, like, oh god, I've sold 1,500 monitors, I need all this space, and then it dies, and I've got all that space. Whereas at the moment, the unit I'm paying for now is economical, okay, and so we'll see. Right, guys, look, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go and see my wife for a little while. Any more questions? Be very quick, because I'm right at the bottom of the list now. If there's any questions, let me know. If not, I'm going to disappear. And as I said before, when I finish, which is in a minute, I'm going to run the outro. You don't have to. You can all disappear. And I'm going to disappear, but there'll be an outro, and it's just me waffling on about buy stuff from me. All right, it's for people, yeah. Anyway, so if you are a backer, as I said, I'm going to be doing a bit more information, but just a video, just a bit more. Actually, to be fair, it's probably not an awful lot more than I've already said, but it's just a bit more information to go into town a bit more, and you know, so you can understand where we are. And of course, by the end of the month, we should know from Okuda, I should know a lot more costs, and we can really get to town on the. Because I don't want to take your money until it's time. If I will tell you now, the moment, if you've read the Kickstarter, go down, look at all the extras. The price is all there, nothing's changing. Standing by the prices. However, because the product's changed, the difference is the backplane. Now I've got to wait to see what Okuda says, what they come back with, but we can't include the backplane because we designed the slot 0, so don't need a backplane. Okay, there's no way, because that controller board is now a lot more expensive. You'll get, you know, if you buy one of ours, you're going to get that, but they can't include the backplane. So the backplane is going to be a cost extra. So whatever it costs to make is, and I'm going to beg everyone to buy it, right? I know, right? Because having that is going to be so much easier, so much better for you. You can slap other stuff into it, but we can't throw it in. So that's important. Now, maybe if I hadn't dropped the price from 279 to 249, to be fair, we probably we could have, because we're only talking about 25 quid. But you know, that's, you know, to get that, or you know, don't think about buying it later, because it's going to go up in price. This is what I'm saying with after the Kickstarter, it's going to go up a reasonable amount, not a huge amount, but it's going to go up enough to cover all the costs and these extras, because as I said, it was so successful, it meant we could do these other bits to make it even better, and you know, enable so much more, because I've talked to a number of developers and they're all looking forward to this thing, you know, being able to literally plug and play, which is kind of a big deal. Will the backplane be standard on the later monitors? After the Kickstarter, yes. Unfortunately, but again, it's going to be, the price is going to go up to include it, and a bit more, to be fair, because I do think it was a bit underpriced. So if you're back and you want to get a second one, you know, I've got to be careful what I say, because I don't want, you know, I'm not going to rip the next batch off, because a lot of people want to buy it, but you know, we have to get, it's important you get this right. As I always said, don't get the maths wrong. Don't get it wrong. But the things that we never even considered, I mean, to be fair, I kind of, look, I'm going to give all the credit to the backplane to Appy, right? And because it's I mean, the stuff going up and down that backplane, it's going to be really, really pretty cool. So it's what I mean by making it a platform. You know, you just buy something and plug it in. assuming they follow them. We've also got a little skinny board that plugs in with power connectors and VGA inputs and audio inputs that you'll be able to just put that in and plug in one that's not designed for it. But it's going to be really cool with that backplane on there. So I can't include it in the standard monitor because it was never meant to have it. And if it hadn't been for the fact that the slot 0 controller is pushing the price up even more, well, of course we're swallowing that. But I can't do the backplane. It's just impossible. Right, so that's it. I am going to switch over to this thing, and I will see you next time. Hope this was informative. Sorry, Malachi. But I hope, if you, again, I make the offer. If you change your mind, you don't want to go for it through Kickstarter, get on there. Just send me a message through Kickstarter that you want to cancel it, and I will refund it. All right, because it's not my intention to deceive anyone. All right, and that's it's just the way it is. Right, okay. I'm gonna go, and I will speak to you soon. So here's the outro, which will probably bore you to tears. Thanks very much. Bye. The Checkmate 1500 Mini and Plus cases are mostly engineered and manufactured in the UK. They're designed to give a nice retro-inspired vibe on your desktop. The 1500 Plus is the biggest of the cases and designed to be able to take much bigger motherboards inside. So this can take a micro ATX as well as mini ITX if you want to build a PC. But also, with the correct rear panel, you can fit an Amiga 500, an Amiga 1200 and an Amiga 600 and build your ultimate Amiga rig. The Mini is designed to take mini ITX motherboards, but don't think that limits you. Yes, you can build a PC, but also you can put in many custom motherboards from the retro scene, like the Mystics, which takes a DE10 Nano, one of our DE10 Nano fitting kits, a fitting kit for the Raspberry Pi 4, and other systems that are coming on stream right now. The Checkmate Garage was inspired by our new monitor developments. The reason being, if you've got a 500, 1200, an Atari ST, BBC Micro, or any of the all-in-ones, it's nice to be able to put the monitor directly above and tidy up your system. However, exciting new product is our new range of monitors, 17 and 19 inch retro inspired monitors with loads of input, but also capable of taking an all-in-one computer internally. The monitor will come to Kickstarter hopefully August, September time. If you want to go on the mailing list telling you when it's ready, please point your camera at this QR code and it will take you to the page, which will then allow you to press a button to add yourself to the mailing list. The monitor is an important part of this company's strategy. Large amounts of development work are being done and it will be like nothing you've ever seen. So hopefully it will pique your interest and you'll back us on the Kickstarter. Let's come to Patreon. Patreon is a very important part of this project. What we're planning with Patreon is, if you are a Patreon backer, whatever you've invested in Patreon to help us, we will put up to 5% of an order. So you get an extra 5%, but that's the whole order. Doesn't matter what you've ordered. It doesn't even matter if you don't back us on Patreon anymore. Hopefully you'll come back, but we'd want to show our gratitude to all those who backed us in the past. You'll see their names ticking by in this video. But I also know this is not just about people wanting discounts on products. They want more content from myself. So what you're going to see is a lot more videos from me, because now that I am full-time on this project, I'll have more time to spend on it. So I can give you videos of my computers. You'll notice I do have a reasonable collection and I'm going to talk you through them. This is something that was at the top of the list for people who back me on Patreon. Not everyone does it to back the new projects. So how come I've got more time? Well, for the last 15 years I've worked for a company called Web Labs, and they've been absolutely fantastic. In fact, none of these products would have existed, and I'm going to stick their logo up here. I want to thank them, and going forward we'll probably still work with Web Labs and do some further development, but ultimately I want to concentrate on this project and hopefully make a success of it. And let's hope I can be doing this for many years to come.